So as if talking about Superman 2025 wasn't bad enough, I'm going to be talking about whether or not Superman 2025 should be in the same universe as the Batman. Or if the Batman should be brought into his universe. Because it's been a topic of debate online, especially, leading up to this movie. It was like debated whether that was the reason Matt Reeves was taking a long time on the script. People have been theorizing that that's maybe because Gunn wants to include him in his universe, and they had to kind of rework the entire thing in order to do that. Some people think, it was his master plan all along, but we'll be getting into all that today. We'll be talking about everything, and I'll even give my theories on what I think is going to happen, who I would maybe want as a DCU Batman if we can't have Pattinson, and pretty much everything else related to that. Now, as I mentioned, with the release of the new Superman movie, outrage and, problems online and fighting has been at an all-time high. And I talked about this in my last Superman-related video, but it's very ironic that a character that's meant to inspire hope and kindness and togetherness is causing this, but that's besides the point. There's been a lot of eyes on the box office performance of the movie, and a lot of talks about like what the future of the DCU will look like now that it's seemingly confirmed that David Zaslav, said that they're looking forward to the next 10 years of the DCU. He's excited for where they're going to take it, all that kind of stuff. So one topic that has been debated a lot is like the introduction of the main three, that being Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. If you know DC or comics, you know that is typically 99.99% of the time most people's top three, like Mount Rushmore of DC heroes. In my opinion, it's the most important because you get gods, man, and aliens. Like, you get all sides of the DC spectrum in these three. So I do think it's important the way you handle their introduction. A lot of people are seemingly loving the introduction of Superman, which is great. Apparently it's like the animated show a lot of people are comparing it to. So that's really good. One question people have is Batman. Obviously, world's finest. When you bring up Superman, I feel like Batman is a mandatory next breath in that conversation nowadays. So people are wondering, how will Batman fit into this world? Because if you've seen the Superman movie, it's very upbeat, very lighthearted, very cartoonish, it's very comic booky. And Batman is one of those characters that can be so difficult because you have a lot of different takes on him, from like Adam West, where he's surfing and using shark repellent, to Michael Keaton, where he's a little bit more whimsical and a little bit different take on the character, to the more crime-esque takes on Batman with, Bale and Pattinson most recently. And everybody has their own favorite Batman, their own favorite kind of Batman, which makes his introduction into this new DCU that much harder because everyone's already so critical of everything. And Batman is one of those characters people do not mess around with. Like, you better get that shit right. and it's going to be tough because, like I mentioned, everybody has their own Batman. So no matter what you give the people, it won't be enough. The closest thing I've seen to people coming together on it in recent times is Pattinsons, because I feel like it gave the Bale crowd what they wanted. And it fixed a lot of the problems that the people who didn't really like those movies had. That being like the action kind of being, lackluster, him being awkward in the suit, and I'm sorry, what was I going to say? I was going to say the action scenes. There's been a lot of debate and disdain among the fans, and you're going to sense a pattern if you're new to comic books or like the comic book movie genre. You're going to sense a pattern in that. It's with literally every specific fan base. Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wolverine. I feel like the only ones that don't get it as bad are the like lesser known heroes or the lesser talked about ones. So it's a little bit of a softer landing for them, which is nice. But yeah, Batman, it's going to be a problem no matter what. The question is, people have been asking, should Pattinson's Batman be brought into Cornsweat's, Superman's world, the new DCU? As many of you may know, Gunn has been vocal about the new DCU being very connected through TV shows, whether that be cartoons, video games, movies, everything, tie-in comic books. So it's very important that, who you introduce is going to be around for the long haul. Hence why Cornsweat is a younger Superman. I really like that aspect. I love the year 3, year 2 versions. And that's why a lot of people believe Pattinson will be, the DCU's Batman, because he's supposed to be a year 2 Batman. Pattinson's still relatively young, although, to be fair, they've been making the guy wait so damn long that he's going to be like 50 by the time he gets a third Batman movie. So I don't know. I say he's young, but he's nearly 40 and he hasn't even gotten to film his sequel yet. So you tell me. So yeah, I think it's very interesting, all the theories about it. I do think there's something to be said. I don't think the people that believe that the movie has been delayed so they can fit it into the DCU are completely schizophrenic. I think there's some reason to go with that theory, although it is like very out there. It's just a theory. I obviously don't think that is actually the case, but is it a possibility? I believe it is, honestly. It would make a lot of sense because Matt Reeves is a pretty good writer and director. I always found it odd that he was taking so long to write this new Batman story, especially with where they left off the last one. I would have imagined that he would have had a clear vision, especially considering, I remember when that first one came out with Pattinson, he was bragging about how he had the script done before they were even like, basically done editing and not editing. He had the script done pretty quick and he was, working on the second script already. And that was when they were doing the interviews for that first movie. So, that kind of says a lot about where it was at. So it's hard to imagine, it would have taken that long. And I know some people say, let him cook. And there's something to be said there. But there's a limit on it where it's like, yeah, let him cook, sure. But like, for what, 4 years? I mean, come on now. So, anyways, back to the point at hand. The question is, will Pattinson be a part of Cornsweat's Superman? I believe he won't be, but I do believe that he would be a good fit. If you want my opinion, I say that with an asterisk there. I say he'd be a good fit in the sense that, like, they're around the same age. Their vibes are, I don't know how to explain this other than saying, like, their vibes are very complementary. Like, Superman and his new movie compared to Pattinson's Batman, that's exactly what I think of when I think of Superman and Batman. The light and the dark. Not too dark, not too light, not too campy. I think they would complement each other very well. I think their ages being close is really awesome, and it would be cool to see. I think when you look at them in their costumes, you could easily see them interacting on the big screen together, just as they are. You won't really have to change anything. It's not like you'll have to completely tonally shift Pattinson's costume to be like a spandex, yellow, blue, and gray suit. Although some people do want that. I don't think you have to do that. I think it fits as it is. Like I mentioned, the ages being so close and so similar is great because I personally want a Batman and Superman that are close in age. And that's the reason I don't think Pattinson will be brought into the DCU, because Gunn has been very vocal about but his Batman will be a seasoned Batman. He's going to already have Damian Wayne as his Robin. And if you know anything about Robin, Damian Wayne is like Batman's like 4th or 5th Robin. So, and he's his actual like son. So that does a few things. That tells you, number one, he's already been through a few Robins. Number two, it's his son, and he's old enough to be fighting crime as a Robin. So that right there just dates your Batman a certain amount, or ages him a certain amount, like by default. So those right there tell me, like, yeah, this isn't going to be Pattinson's unless they do like a big time jump, which I don't see happening, because the thing with Pattinson's Batman that a lot of people like love is how early he is, and they want to see everything in between. People want to see more from him. They don't want to skip ahead 20 years or 10 years or 15 years. They want to see Pattinson going through the stuff as he's going through it. So I don't think that James Gunn will do that, especially since he's already announced the Brave and the Bold movie. And like I mentioned, the plot of it involving Damian Wayne and, Batman working together with the Bat family. I mean, all that stuff right there confirms to you that Pattinson cannot be the Batman of this DCU. And the only way that this could not happen is if James Gunn was lying, or if he straight up completely changes his mind and completely alters the direction of the DCU, which I don't see happening, because that would be quite a big shift, and he's already lost a lot of faith in people for I don't want to say lying, but saying one thing and then doing another with this new universe. So I think it'd be interesting if he went that route, because that might not be very good for him in that situation. But I guess we'll have to see. Now, like I mentioned, my Batman, me wanting Robert Pattinson's Batman in Cornsworth's DCU comes with an asterisk, because, and this is something a lot of people have brought up, his world wouldn't really gel well with metahumans and Superman's DCU world that they set up in this new movie. In the new one, it's like established that, Metropolis is host to giant battles and crazy shit all day, pretty much every day. Pattinson's Batman is so grounded in reality that it would be not just like weird, but it would be downright jarring, honestly. And it would be very hard to explain, because Pattinson's Batman feels like he exists in a world where Superman cannot, where metahumans cannot. If anything, maybe like a Clayface, maybe. But even that, like people have mentioned, even that is stretching it. I mean, hell, Mr. Freeze is stretching it, which kind of sucks, because it does limit a lot of stuff I feel like you could do with Pattinson's Batman. And as a kid, I grew up watching Justice League, the animated series, Justice League Unlimited. So I'm really a sucker for Batman working with other heroes and villains and fighting different types of threats, and being a lot more like open to that kind of stuff, as opposed to being more closed off like Bale's, where he had nothing, where even like a Robin in Bale's universe was kind of out there. So yeah, I really like the possibility of seeing an actor I love so much like Robert Pattinson in a role I love him so much in, interacting with other heroes like Superman, and knowing James Gunn's plan, we're going to get other heroes in that universe for sure. We're going to get a Justice League. We're going to get everything, probably. So yeah, I mean, seeing him interact with those people, do I want it? Of course. I would love nothing more. But would it be right? I don't really think so, because you'd have to change too much. Like I mentioned earlier, you wouldn't have to change Pattinson's suit or anything to, have them be on screen together and make it look badass. But you would have to change almost everything else about his movie and his universe's rules. And it's just kind of one of those frustrating things, because I low-key want him to be a part of this universe, so we could also get a lot of appearances and a lot of content with his Batman. Like I said, him interacting with the Flash, with Green Lantern, with Darkseid, Lex Luthor. I don't think we've seen a Batman fight Lex Luthor in live action other than Eisenberg and Affleck. And I want a proper Batman and Lex fight. I want it to feel like the animated shows I loved when I was a kid. So that's what makes it kind of frustrating. I do think it's kind of off the table. Now, that being said, there's been a lot of talk about the fan castings for the DCU's Batman. There was a lot of talk for the Superman, and then he announced Corn Sweat, and it was like, nobody really expected him. So a lot of people have been throwing some crazy ideas out there for Batman, from Alan Richardson to, I can't even think of all the actors, because there's just been so much. It's been flooding the internet. There's been a few actors that I'm not really familiar with their names, but if I can find a picture of them, I'll post it here in this segment. So yeah, I just think there's a lot to play here when you're deciding on this new Batman, because like I mentioned before, you have a lot of limitations, and I don't want to say limitations, I guess, but you have predetermined expectations. For example, he has to be old enough to have a child, old enough to be a Robin. He's a seasoned Batman. And if we're going off of James Gunn's word, which is that the cartoons, and everything is connected. Cartoons, video games, movies. Batman did appear in one of James Gunn's newer cartoon TV show, animated TV shows, Creature Commandos. And in his small appearance, he is hulking. He is a giant Batman. He reminds me a lot of Affleck's stature, actually. However, in that same cartoon, in another episode, Batman can be seen on a post along with Robin and Wonder Woman. And on the post he looks a lot thinner and a lot smaller. So it's kind of conflicting, because you want to say like, oh well, he's going to be this giant guy, so I fan cast Alan Richardson. Or, oh, he's going to be, kind of skinnier, so maybe it can be Pattinson's Batman, and that's determined. It's just a different Batsuit. That's all. I don't know, to be honest. Like I said, maybe Gunn just messed up. Maybe that's an intentional choice. Maybe that's just Batman at two different points in his career in those different, little appearances. But that's the problem when you do something as ambitious as Gunn is doing. It's kind of the same thing with Marvel. When you connect everything, number one, it's a lot of homework for the audience. But number two, you are putting yourself in quite the spot, because you better be on your shit. Because if you draw something wrong, or if you animate something different, and they show up looking completely different or contradicting that last appearance, the fans are going to catch that shit, especially comic book fans. And they're most likely going to have a problem with it. Now, there's some people that go through with rose-tinted glasses with everything, and that's fine and all. You can obviously do what you want, but most people will have an issue with that, only because you expressly, say and commit to being like, well, everything's connected, everything will be the same. When you do that, people expect that. So that's just that's one issue I've noticed. But my fan casting for Batman personally, if we're going this route with a seasoned older Batman, and I don't know if he would be too old for the role, but someone I've always wanted to see take on this role is Jon Hamm. Jon Hamm is an actor. I've known him from a few different things. Mad Men, Tag. He's been in a bunch of stuff, and he's a pretty good actor. From what I know, he's not that problematic. I could be wrong there. But yeah, I know a lot of people fan casted Armie Hammer until he turned out to be a cannibal, which honestly I didn't really like that casting anyways. But Jon Hamm is always one I've wanted to see. Until, they mentioned, or they casted Affleck, and I loved that. I was not very skeptical of that, although Batman castings people are always skeptical on, especially when they were first announced. I was happy to have Affleck, but if we're starting over here and we're not able to use Pattinson and we have to go with an older Batman, I prefer Jon Hamm, me personally, because I feel like he's at that perfect age that Gunn seems to be going for his Batman, and I could be wrong. Maybe Hamm is too old. Maybe he's out of shape now. Maybe he wouldn't even be open to the role. But in my opinion, he's Bruce Wayne in almost all of his movies without even trying to be. His Bruce Wayne you wouldn't even have to do anything. You just tell him to be himself and give him a script to follow. It's he looks like Bruce Wayne when he's walking around. He's got a pretty good height. He's got the height there. Along with, and you need that because Corn Sweat's 6'5", so you don't want your Batman to look like a wimp next to him. And he's got the frame. Like I said, he might be out of shape now, but last I checked, he had a pretty good stature and frame to him, to where it's if you give him nutritionist and time, dude could probably bulk up plenty fine to fit that silhouette we saw in Creature Commandos. But also, I just think it's the best choice. He's a good actor. He's got experience. I think he has expressed interest in the role before. I could be wrong on that. If I'm not, I'll post a quote here. But I believe he's expressed interest in the role, which would be awesome, because you always want someone with passion for a character to do something. You don't want to just cast someone who's there for a paycheck, especially with beloved characters like Superman and Batman. You want that heart to be there. So I think that's important. And that would honestly be my fan cast. I'm not going to go through multiple, because honestly I don't have multiple. I think Jon Hamm has always been my pick for the last 10 years. He was before Affleck. And then when we got Affleck, I was like, well, close enough. I like Ben Affleck. he's got a lot of the similar, features, like same height, build, acting range. So yeah, I was happy with that. So yeah, I think that's where it should go. I do believe we're getting Batman in the DCU sooner than expected. I think it's going to be honestly like a surprise casting thing. Like, I don't think they're going to announce it. I think he'll just show up in a movie and you're going to see, or a TV show or something, and you're going to see who it is, when he shows up. And I could be wrong, but I think that'd be a very bold and different way to go about announcing a casting, because then you don't give people time to bitch about it online. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty sick. Now let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Pattinson can and will be a part of, this new DCU with Corn Sweat Superman? Do you think it'll be someone else? If so, who? Do you think, who do you guys think Wonder Woman will be? I mean, I'm pretty interested in that. I can make a video talking about that. Obviously, that's also getting recast. You could pretty much just assume everyone's getting recast other than characters Gunn has introduced or approved, I guess. So that's kind of different, but we'll see where it goes. I'm excited for the future of the DCU. I want to see Marvel and DC succeed, because I personally want an Avengers versus Justice League movie one day in live action. And I'm very greedy, so I won't stop at anything until I get it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say on this topic today. I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I've seen a lot of, discussion about it online recently. And I wanted to throw my 2 cents in the ring. If you stuck around this long and you listened to what I had to say, I really do appreciate it. If you will like and subscribe, I'd also appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video.